Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Happy Monday, everyone. It is a huge week astrologically. We have a major new moon forming this week alongside of a Mercury Cazimi at the end of Scorpio, with all of these planets near the anaretic degree and opposing Uranus and Taurus, also at the last late degrees of Taurus. So I think this is probably the most dramatic and impactful new moon of the year, especially because it's also coming right off a Grand Water Trine that's forming at the start of this week. So big things to look at today. I'm going to give you a list of things to watch for. I'm also going to give you some tips or reminders for how we might work with these transits of the week for the sake of spiritual growth and healing, really. So that is our agenda for today. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. This helps our channel grow immensely. If you haven't yet subscribed, it takes just a second to do so, and we grow so much because of it. So thank you very much. Transcripts can be found for any of these daily talks on the website, which is nightlightastrology.com. But today, I'm very excited to announce that we are launching our 2026 Kickstarter campaign. Today is the very first day. Our goal this year is to reach 2,043 backers by New Year's Eve. All of the support from this channel comes from people like yourself who value this content. And once a year for the last 40 plus days of the year, we rally support for the channel. This makes sure that none of the content goes behind with subscriptions or paywalls or anything like that. So I'm going to take you over to the Kickstarter page. You will find the link to the Kickstarter in the description of this video in the comment section. If you head over to nightlightastrology.com, you'll find a link. We are trying to get to 2,043 backers by the end of the year. That's just one backer better than we did last year. Every year, we're always just trying to grow the support for this channel a little bit more than the year before. So when you go over to the Kickstarter page, you're going to scroll down, and on the right-hand side, you're going to find that when you donate to support the channel, there are a variety of rewards available. At the end of today's video, I have a little breakdown of all of the different gifts and rewards you can choose. In a sense, the Kickstarter is like a sale for all of our classes, all of our content, a lot of exclusive content that's only available through the Kickstarter. For example, I'm starting another new book in 2026. You can hop on to get the early chapter releases of that book as I'm writing it. There's lots of really cool stuff available, some brand new talks that I'm not releasing anywhere else. Of course, you always have the astrology of the year ahead. You also have the horoscopes for the year ahead. So lots of really good stuff. And then major discounts on all of our classes, especially when you bundle them together. So again, I'll tell you everything that's there available for you as a reward when you contribute, but absolutely any donation amount, $5, $10, helps us reach our goal, which is to grow the support of the channel each year. Last year, we had 2,042 backers support the channel, and this contributes to so many different things that we do, which I will be telling you more about every day as the Kickstarter continues. I'm also doing a live stream this week to do some horoscopes for you, and I'll typically be doing live streams more frequently between now and the end of the year to also rally support for the Kickstarter campaign. So if you love this channel, if this is a space where you get daily spiritual value and nutrition, so to speak, through your astrology, please consider supporting us. Every little donation makes a huge difference to me, my staff, my family, everything that we do at Nightlight, which is, free content year round here. So if you value it, please pitch in. Okay, on that note, let us now turn our attention to the real-time clock. Here we go. And you're going to see that at the start of this week on the 17th, look at what's happening. The sun at 25 degrees of Scorpio, trining Saturn at 25 degrees of Pisces, trining Jupiter at 25 degrees of Cancer. Of course, Jupiter and Saturn trining one another. So we start the week with another iteration of our Grand Water Trine. But even though this is in and of itself a pretty epic way to start our week, what's more, when we get forward to Wednesday in the evening, and this is why I'm going to be doing those live stream horoscopes on Wednesday, you can see that we have a new moon forming. And actually, I'm actually going to bring this down to the very hour so that you can actually see, just how powerful it is when the two planets come together. So what you can see here is this is by early Thursday morning, like 12:30 Central Time. So it's like, maybe 10:30 Pacific or whatever. You will see that the sun and the moon and Mercury, who's now Cazimi, are all triple conjoined, the 28th degree. So we're in those final degrees where the bound rulers of the malefics lie. opposite Uranus at the anaretic degree of Taurus. Wow, this is such a big new moon, you guys. And like I said, I had this highlighted. It's a little subjective, like every astrologer might have slightly different opinion, but at the end of last year, when I was writing out my calendar of coverage for the year ahead on the channel, I picked this as the biggest new moon of the year. The reason for that is it's coming right out of the Grand Water Trine. It's really in the mix of the Grand Water Trine, and it's anaretic. Mercury's retrograde, all opposite Uranus anaretic. Like it really is a super intense new moon. Now, what that means is apart from this week potentially containing some of these signatures, it's really the entirety of the next cycle. If we go forward and take this through the rest of the cycle, what we find is that at the very beginning of December, we see that the Grand Water Trine will come through Mercury being direct one more time. So Mercury kind of reiterates the Grand Water Trine within this cycle. So it still is a lot of watery energy, you might say, for the remainder of this cycle. But then we're also, by the end of the cycle, of course, we're moving into the solstice. And so this like kind of last cycle of 2025 from the perspective of the calendar year is epic. It's really quite big and may contain some of the more dramatic, emotional, spiritual transformation, healing, and catharsis that this year in a way has been about, especially in the last couple of months with all of the water trines. So what I have for us today to get us started this week is just a basic list of 5 things to watch for, given the week starts with the Grand Water Trine, given that we have this major new moon signature in the middle of the week, that Mercury will be Cazimi in a water sign, that there's so much activity with Uranus. Let's put it all together. I'm going to give you a list of 5 things to watch for. And then I have 3 reminders that I sat with and I wrote down this morning during my morning meditation as reminders that I know I need during periods like this that might be useful for you as well. And I hope will just contribute positively to whatever you may be going through as these symbols are made manifest in our lives this week. And then at the end, I will tell you what's on my altar this week. We'll do that for sure. I'm going to hold off on any kind of horoscopic insights because I'm going to be doing the live stream horoscopes Wednesday morning. That'll be at 10 a.m. Central, by the way, if you want to join. Okay. So anyway, let's get into it. 5 things to watch for. Number 1, when so much water is gathering, we've mentioned this numerous times with coverage of the Grand Water Trine, but then in the midst of that water, we have this very powerful new moon in Scorpio, Mercury Cazimi at the heart of the sun, delivering a pretty deep message. When Mercury's at the heart of the sun, it often conveys some pretty deep insights and realizations for us. And all of that is coming through in opposition with Uranus. A simple way to describe this week might be overwhelming. Even good things can be overwhelming. Even positive moments of breakthrough where something that's been stuck is freeing up can still feel quite overwhelming. When it rains, it pours. That's a good statement for this week. When you're not quite ready for a moment that you know is good and you want, but you're still not quite ready for it, and now it's time to be ready, you don't have a choice. That can feel very overwhelming. When there is a signature of getting out of stuck places, but that stuckness, it takes work. It's sort of like getting out of bed in the morning. Even if you have something to be really excited for, if it feels really comfortable in your bed, it's hard to get yourself out, even if what's coming next after you get out of bed is something to be excited about. So I want to be clear that for as positive as I think this week can be, for as much healing as there may be, for as much movement emotionally, spiritually, psychologically as this week depicts, any of this could feel very overwhelming. And so knowing that we're going into a week, positive, negative, however you slice it, you might be dealing with overwhelm, especially on the emotional level, on the psychological, mental, emotional sphere of your health and well-being. This is a week to protect yourself from overwhelm through grounding practices, through having some connections with people you love that, this is a week where I would be careful of not having any time for yourself or any time to connect with people you love where you can empathize, you can share in what you're carrying. If you're if there's so much happening this week that there's no space for processing or integration or a little decompressing, you're setting yourself up to not have some so almost like some channels through which the water can move and pour out. So just keep that in mind. Number 2, excuse me, finally a flood. Finally, it's raining. Where there has been pent up energy, where you've been waiting for something to disperse, where you've been waiting for something that's been effort and development and work that's been accumulating to suddenly flood open and to feel like, now there's release of stress, release of pent up emotional energy, release of grief, release of trauma, any of those things where there's a feeling that something that has been building and building and building is now releasing. That would be very common for this week. The Grand Water Trine plus a huge new moon in Scorpio opposite Uranus. It's like the floodgates are opening, where accumulation of pressure systems are building in the sky. Now it's a storm. Now it's a release. Now, ultimately, that energy is creative. It's healing. It's alchemical. But floods and rains don't feel great, do they? When they come, they can be a little destructive. They can be a little ominous. We can feel a little scared by the release of such powerful force and energy. But trusting, yes, this is something that is meant to now be let go of. This is something that has creative, fertile, life-giving power behind it, but it may be a little torrential at first. Keep that in mind this week, that there's history behind this. When Grand Water Trines get together, it's like, things from all corners of the earth are getting together, accumulating, and then releasing. So finally, the flood, finally, the rain, something that's been in development for a while, that's reaching a point of release, redemption, healing, catharsis. But notice the built-up feeling of history behind it. That's the point. Number 3, when the dam breaks, revolution, where we have containers or structures in place that have been meant to hold things, but they've served their purpose. And now it's going to be about those structures breaking down, or maybe being revised or replaced. Maybe there's a more intelligent structure or system. Many of us psychologically are, walking through life, coping with the fact that we're moving through eternity with all sorts of things. I would say, for example, that most of us probably scroll, and we get lost in our phones or distractions, and we constantly seek out stimulation. Why? Because life can be pretty boring, or life can be pretty overwhelming, or we just don't know what to do with ourselves, or we need stimulation because without it, we get anxious. But those underlying issues that we've built up a way of dealing with, patterns or habits that keep the uncertainties and the boredom or the overwhelm or the fear of life at bay, sometimes we need to be flooded so that there's nothing we can do to avoid those underlying realities. And a meaningful encounter with them is the only thing that's going to grow us spiritually. A meaningful encounter with the underlying fear or depression or boredom or anxiety is what we have to face right now. And any defenses we have built up against those underlying existential realities are just not going to do it. They're going to be overwhelmed, and those structures are going to temporarily fall apart. Now, that doesn't mean that we need to be free floating through infinity, on some kind of never-ending spiritual skydive. But it does mean that we get insights at certain periods of time in life as to why we've built up all sorts of habits and patterns of perception and behavior to avoid certain core existential truths. Life is tentative. Holy shit, And when these kinds of moments come through, big Uranian moments, lots of water in the sky, there's no avoiding. There's no structure or defense or walls that we can build to keep it out. They're going to break down. That's the idea. On the other hand, sometimes we get to play a role. We're more consciously involved. It's not, some people this week will just find that structures and defenses are just being overwhelmed and there's nothing you can do. They're going to break down, and that's the revolution. It's painful, but don't worry, you'll be okay. You're an eternal being, But there's also a part of us that may consciously choose to participate in this change, this changing of the guard or changing of structures. When our faith or understanding of reality evolves because we have meaningful spiritual breakthroughs, and all of a sudden we go, oh, yeah, the point of life is to grow my heart and soul and spirit. The point of life is to be creative. The point of life is to walk in alignment with the Tao. And the way that all of these events unfolded just reminded me of that so vividly that I feel like I was just woken up. That's Uranus. That sense of the dam breaking open as the voice of awakening. And we can participate in that. When we see it happening, we can just be like, all right, it's time to dance in the rain. It's time to be a part of the revolution. That revolution doesn't necessarily mean that huge dramatic shifts have to happen instantly either. But we can be like, oh, I'm picking up the phone, I'm getting the message, and it's time to hang up the phone and now quietly go about the business of revolutionizing my life, my psyche, and the structures of my life so that the containers I have are more intelligent. I have the right structures in place to hold the right kind of energy, the right kind of people, the right kind of path that's supported by the right kinds of things. So when the dam breaks, revolution, when structures break down, we can get on board with that change and get excited about it, be a part of it. But being a part of it also usually means that it's not going to be as destructive. A lot of what makes these moments destructive is resistance and reactivity. Okay, anyway. So when the dam breaks, revolution, it's a very revolutionary kind of week. We're going to see that across the board for, for sure. All right, number 4, the rising waters lift what's buried to the surface. I want you to imagine that there's like a basin and there's lots of things just sort of slightly buried beneath the sand. And all of a sudden it's pouring and it's pouring and it's pouring, and the water is lifting things that have been buried beneath the surface up to the top. This is a week where we may suddenly get in touch with things that have been unseen or invisible or hidden or unconscious. And the revolution might be in getting in touch with things that are being brought up to the surface because there's so much water pouring in that it has a way of just taking things that are slightly buried beneath the visible realm and bringing them up. So don't be surprised if the revolution of this week is about getting in touch with unseen content, invisible content, things that have been hidden, things that have been happening behind the scenes. If you've been working like very like, what am I trying to say? If you've been working devotedly behind the scenes on things, don't be surprised if those efforts translate into a gathering or pooling of resources and a creative breakthrough. Things that you've been building, gathering, developing quietly, persistently, with emotional focus over long periods of time may also naturally crescendo and reach a point of breakthrough creatively. So that could be actually really, quite brilliant. Number 5, a great gathering. Remember that grand water trines in general, are of the nature of Jupiter. Jupiter rejoiced in the 11th house, which was the place of gatherings of community, gatherings of like-mindedness, of colleagues, of allies, of support and blessings that pool together and build momentum and consensus, especially with respect to our dreams, our ambitions, our goals. That was all part of the 11th house. But grand water trines, the trines connecting all 3 houses, they speak to a great gathering of resources, of people, of assets, of allies, of people you share something in common with, common dreams, common hopes, common aspirations. I would not be surprised for breakthroughs to be happening this week because you're finding that there's just things are just pooling together and building momentum or consensus or support. And that can itself create quite a breakthrough. Now, do you have to immediately act upon that? Be careful of being impulsive and impatient. It's sort of like, when people win the lottery, or when people first step into like their business suddenly overnight becomes viral, and all of a sudden they go from, making 100, 200,000 a year in their business and revenue in the year to like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. All of a sudden, it's quite common for people to go out and, buy a crazy $300,000 car. And it's like, well, wait, maybe I should, pay off my car loan, or like maybe I should pay off my student loans or something. I don't know. But the idea being that when things pool together quickly in big ways, it's tempting to make immediate big decisions as opposed to letting that gathering speak and endure and persist. It's like if your business pops off, let that money sit in the bank account for a month or two and get a financial advisor. You know what I mean? And then come up with a plan for the implementation of what's gathered together. Because the temptation of this week is here's a gathering, here's a pooling, here's a collecting, but now spend it instantaneously and drain it all out again too quickly. So all things to just be mindful of. Now, I have 3 reminders for growth that I want to go over. And these were just part of my meditation this morning, and I hope you'll find them useful. But before I do that, as you guys know, I have been interspersing some of my my videos with different promotions that we're running to break it up a little bit so they're not all just at the beginning. I want to remind you right now that if you go over to the Nightlight Astrology website, we just began our first year program. It's not too late to join that program if you'd like to, using the need-based tuition. So if you go to courses, go to first year course. The class just started November 15th, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic, our first year program. Scroll down to the bottom. You can learn, there's a video there that'll tell you more about the course, everything it includes, everything else you need to know is on the page. But at the bottom, you will find the tuition assistance. So if you want to join us for this cohort, the tuition assistance is still available. So just be sure that if you want to take advantage of that, you do. It's not too late to join the class. You can catch up. Everything's recorded, so you can catch up with the first class you missed and join us. Come along for the ride. On that note, let's go now into a few reminders for growth that I have. Now, given this huge configuration this week, one thing that can come up, and I think this is quite common when we get overwhelmed, when the voice of spirit or our guides shows up and says, you're falling short in some area, or your unconscious material is coming up, and it's very overwhelming. I think that one thing that I noticed that happens for me, as I was reflecting on this morning, I was really just thinking of what are some of my challenges when this kind of configuration shows up. When I get feedback of my shortcomings, the unconscious, the demons, the shadows come up for me to see. The water lifts them to the top and I see them and I go, okay, I guess I'm just not good enough. And it's very easy to feel that way when we're getting in touch with some of our shadow material. It's like, I'm so sick of never being good enough is the response that I think we can run into. Like, am I not always just being dragged into seeing where I'm falling short and where my shadows exist? And it's tempting in such moments to give ourselves a little gospel of, you know what, you're good enough just the way you are, which is true. There's nothing untrue about that. However, I had a spiritual teacher when I was in the Bhakti yoga tradition who encouraged me in such moments that 2 things can be true. One, you're good enough just as you are is always true. Because it is always true, you can also choose to receive feedback when you get it that starts with, you know what? If I'm always good enough just the way I am, then I'm also always good enough to be just a little bit better. I don't have to take it as, I don't have to become, a victim. I mean, sure, let myself feel overwhelmed. Let myself feel a little frustrated. Really tell myself it's okay. You're good enough. Don't let the voices of shame and, don't beat yourself up. But then when you come through the frustration of seeing that shadow content, telling yourself it's okay, you're good enough, then you can also be good enough to be a little bit better. I know for me that it comes in phases. First, the overwhelm. Second, the feeling of, God, I'm so sick of feeling like there's just an endless amount of things that I could work on. Does the work never end? Can I just be good enough the way that I am? Yes, you can. Yes, you're enough. Okay. And I can do a little bit better. I'm going to try. If we approach it like that, just gentle, sweet, soft, affirming, it's about how we receive that unconscious feedback that's so important. If we're all or nothing about it, I'm already good enough, so I just can't take any more feedback. Well, then we'll stop growing, But can we say, I'm already good enough. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to just give myself a little breather here. And then I'm going to take that feedback and go, okay. Mission, re-engaged. Feedback, message received. Let's go. Number 2, I can feel and I can contain. Again, it's that tricky truth that 2 things can be true. I can feel everything I'm feeling and just allow myself to be super overwhelmed. And whatever that looks like, it's okay. But it doesn't have to cancel out that I may need to find better ways of containing all of this as well. So again, it's like when I think of this is so for me, like I feel like half the truths of the universe are contained in parenting, by the way. Yeah, that's just my school of life at the moment. But I'm like, my daughter, my younger one, who's got a Pisces moon, she gets so overwhelmed by big feelings. Holy cow, you know, and I'm sure any Pisces moons out there can relate, or water moons in general. You can feel all of it, and I can give her the feedback that it is okay to have just turned into a big, mushy, squishy mess. That's okay. And you can also develop some new and improved ways of containing those big feelings. Two things can be true. There's nothing wrong with the way you responded, the way you received, and you can also improve so you can stay grounded and receive those things, and it can be a little less destructive or a little less overwhelming. So much of how we receive water, in my opinion, as a Cancer Sun, Mercury, Cancer, you know, it's about allowing emotions to be what they are without regulating them or rationalizing them or holding them or grounding them like they're just some naughty little child that needs to be adulted. It's about letting them be what they are and saying that you can develop better ways of working with them if it's going to help. So those two things can be true. Feel all the feelings and look at how you're grounding, look at how you're containing, look at what you have to hold, contain, and work with overwhelm so that it's a constructive experience. And we can get better at those things without anything canceling the other out. Number 3, I can flow around obstacles and difficulties. The way of the Tao is the way of flowing with and around all of life's situations. So when obstacles come, when hardship comes, when overwhelm comes, when huge moments of catharsis come, how do I flow with, through, and around the difficulties or obstacles? I promise you, as someone who sits in quiet meditation regularly, as someone who goes inward regularly and has for a very long time, I'm not an expert at life any more, you know, than anyone else. But one thing that has worked for me tremendously is sitting and intentionally, when difficulties are arising, to intentionally say, what is the way through? What is the way around? What is the way with? Not against, what is the way with? And it's scary. And I don't always feel like I have the patience for it. But if I take 2-3 minutes a day to intentionally ask those questions, assuming that there is a way of flowing with and around the season I'm in, the moment I'm in, the space I'm in, the intelligence usually does appear. Maybe not right away. It's sort of like asking your brain to recall song lyrics 2 hours later. Suddenly you go, oh, I remember the lyrics. But every day, if you ask the question, how can I move around through and with these tremendously deep and intense waters, this harrowing passage of revolutionary change, the intelligence will appear, the memory of what to do, because you have always been here. From the standpoint of eternity, there is no new situation that your soul doesn't know, because it's a part of every situation that could possibly exist. It's already embedded as the perfect intelligence within everything that could possibly happen or exist already. So all we have to do is find out it's almost like tapping into the memory of that. That's what it feels like for us. We often talk about, you know, when you ask a question, almost always when the answer comes, it feels like you're remembering it. Ah, yes, I've always known that. Of course, right? But how can you get there if you don't take some intentional time? That's what I also mean by I can feel and I can contain. The feeling is, I am screwed. But the I can contain is I'm going to sit down and I'm going to ask the question, how do I flow with, through, and around these difficulties? If you keep doing that and keep being overwhelmed, there's nothing wrong with it. The intelligence will come. The memory will come. Oh, yeah, I know what to do. I know where I am. I know who I am. So anyway, just a little unsolicited advice, but I hope that it's useful. Look, I'm going to sign off now. Oh, no, I'm not. What am I talking about? I got to tell you what's on my altar this week. Okay, I'm going to pivot my camera to show you what's on my altar this week. All right. You may not be able to see it super well, but there is an old school, like, nautical compass that's sitting there. Now, this is something that was given to me a long time ago now, and I've kept it as a kind of totem. And often I've used it actually in some of the imagery on my website. But this is basically a compass to guide your ship by night, to guide your ship by day and night. Old kind of thing. The reason that this is on my altar this week is because we launched the Kickstarter today. And my prayer during these last days of the year, every year for, I guess this is like year 11, year 12, I mean, I'm forgetting now. But every year at the end of the year as a content creator, I go into a period of prayer and reflection where I ask God, the gods, goddess, please guide me as a content creator. Please guide this channel. Please guide our school. Please guide our community, so that this is in service to the soul and to love and to divinity. So this compass here is just a reminder that I am now going into a period of time where I'm writing and prepping a lot of my outline for 2026. And I'm asking for insight, healing, growth, refinement of myself, so that I can be the best version of myself for this channel and for all the people who come through Nightlight. So kind of starting off with the right intention for our annual Kickstarter campaign. That's what's on my altar today. But whatever you are doing, the point of this segment is to remind you, having an altar practice is a powerful way of taking that internal conversation and making sure that it's intentionally connected to the gods and goddesses, to the cosmos, all of which is teeming with life and just waiting to talk with us. It's like, please make this whole thing, make this whole experience a learning experience, make it a journey, make it a friendship, connect it to a living, breathing, sentient cosmos that wants to talk to you. An altar practice is one of the easiest ways to start receiving the fruits of your experiences in more of a sacred dialogue. So I highly encourage doing it. Now, on that note, I'm going to sign off. We are trying. Today is our first day. Help us get off to a really good start. Our goal is to get to 2,043 backers by New Year's Eve. We need lots of people on the channel who like this content to pitch in $5, $10, to pick up a reward, to pick up a class pass, and support the ongoing work of this channel and all the people who work for it. We really deeply appreciate it. I'm going to sign off, and there is an explanation about all the rewards that you can pick up. I'll explain all of them so you can think about what you might benefit from receiving the most when you support us. Okay, that's it for today. Hope you're having a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. I'm going to tell you about the different rewards that are available when you donate and support this year's Kickstarter. Remember, our goal is to get to 2,043 backers by New Year's Eve, and your contribution makes a huge difference. But when you do contribute, there are a variety of really cool gifts that we offer only once a year through the Kickstarter campaign. So I'm going to take you over to the Kickstarter and tell you about what those are. You can also find more information about almost all of the rewards on our website, nightlightastrology.com. Any of the programs that you might want to take, all of the details about those programs, their start dates are all located on the website in case that's a question. But at the top, you'll notice on the right-hand side, when you're scrolling down on the Kickstarter, you're going to see the different rewards that are available at different pledge levels. The basic pledge level is the Astrology of 2026 calendar. This is a really nice PDF calendar that we make that gives you a feel for what transits I'm going to be covering on the channel as the year goes on. It's also really nice to know what the transits of the year are day by day. So if that appeals to you, it's the most basic level of pledge, and you can get that. Scrolling down, you can also bundle any of these. So if you want multiple rewards, you can bundle them upon checkout. You'll see how that works when you're in there pledging. Scroll down a little bit. There's a new talk that I've made. This is a brief talk on the value of silence and having a silent or meditative practice in your life, how you might get one started. And again, just what I see as the value of that for astrologers. Scroll down a little bit more, you'll see the Astrology of 2026 audio and video. This is an exclusive lecture where I break down all of the major transits and astrological signatures for the year ahead. I'm not releasing this anywhere else, so if you want my insights for the entirety of 2026, this is a great reward to pick up. Scroll down a little bit more and you'll see that I have a guided meditation that I've created for your year ahead. This is more about spiritually, psychologically, emotionally focusing yourself for the year ahead. It's a special kind of guided meditation and visualization that I've created. So if that sounds appealing, you could pick that up. It's called The Oracle Within, a guided meditation. Scroll down a little bit more and you'll see that my new book, which I plan on starting at the latest by the summer of 2026, you can get in on that chapter by chapter first draft release in audio and text form, just like The Oracle Speaks, my first book that I just finished. This is a new book that I'm starting in 2026. So if you wanted to hop in on the early release for that, you could do that there. Scroll down a little bit more and the description of that book and what it's all about is right there for you to check out. Year ahead horoscope readings. If you want to receive about 6 hours worth of content going through horoscopes for 2026 for all 12 rising signs, this is a great offering that's going to give you, again, about 6 hours worth of horoscopes for all 12 signs for the year ahead. I'm not releasing anywhere else, so check that out. Then you'll notice as you scroll down a variety of different archived masterclasses from previous years. There's one on the lunar nodes in ancient astrology. That's about 10 hours worth of content. The Magic and Mystery of the Fixed Stars, again, about 10 hours of content. Zen and the Art of Zodiacal Releasing, and The Alchemy of the Outer Planets. These are all lengthy masterclasses that I taught in previous years, about 10 hours of content per package. So a really great deal on some advanced content there. If you are brand spanking new to astrology, check out Astrology for Complete Beginners. This is a course that we have. It's about 10 to 12 hours worth of content that's meant for people who are brand new to astrology. This is like astrology level 0. So, but if that's you or someone you know who might benefit from just like a basic introduction to astrology, check out that audio video course. You get a website where it takes you through everything. You can watch it at your own pace and time. It's all recorded. The next offering is Ask 3 Horary Questions. You purchase this one and you get the ability to write to me anytime throughout 2026, 3 separate occasions to ask 3 separate horary questions, and I respond to those via email. That's a really great service that saves you significantly off the course of horaries because you're bundling 3 together. So a really nice gift to use for yourself. Ask a couple of questions to me through horary form throughout the year. Scroll down and you'll see that I have only 30 of these. These are year ahead mini readings, very exclusive because I don't give readings anymore. I have students and staff taking clients through a special reading service. So my readings are very limited to classroom spaces, but I have 30 of these exclusive mini readings where I give you my take on your biggest transit for the year ahead in your birth chart. Those are personally recorded and sent to you. Then you'll see the 2025 Masterclass bundle, the 2024, and the 2023. These are, like upwards of 30 hours of content that are going to give you really deep exploration of a variety of topics. So those masterclass bundles are taking multiple series from previous years and bundling them together in one package. And you can see all the topics listed there through the 2025 bundle, the 2024 bundle, or the 2023 bundle. A really great way to package together a lot of intermediate to advanced level content that I've taught in the past. Then if you go down, the new 2026 masterclass series that I'm teaching is on the decans. So if you're interested in learning more about the decans and the upcoming 2026 masterclass, check this out. It's on sale right now through the Kickstarter. Won't be this cheap again. So a really good way to save on joining that program in 2026. If you have any questions about that program, you can find more information on the website through the page that's dedicated to the masterclass. Scroll down and you'll see we also have a new Nightlight Guild membership. This is ideal for people who are already enrolled in Nightlight or in the kind of Nightlight pipeline as students and are looking for more practice, more study at an intermediate to advanced level. We're meeting twice a month and doing live client readings, live horary workshops, a lot of practice with advanced concepts and techniques. So this is ideal for people who are really looking to continue developing within the Nightlight sphere. And so students in Nightlight, check this out, come study with us. This also includes every monthly webinar that I teach on the year, plus twice monthly meetings that are 2 hours each for advanced practice. So really nice to have a guild membership. This is something I've been wanting to develop for a while. Check that out. Scroll down, you'll see both of my wife's herbal apprenticeships, year 1 and year 2. If you like Ashley and her work, her YouTube channel, We own the same LLC, so we just thought we'd throw in her herbal apprenticeships at a discounted rate if you want to join those. And then really our most popular item are the class passes. So you'll see at the very bottom, you can attend 1 Nightlight course, 2 in a bundle, 3 in a bundle, or 4 in a bundle. And what that allows you to do at a really significantly discounted rate, this is our best sale of the year. We only do it through the Kickstarter. In those class passes, you can bundle and take year 1, year 2, year 3 in Hellenistic natal astrology. You can take the horary class, or you can take any yearly master class. And those class passes are going to allow you to then bundle together our programs and go through as many as you want. You could bundle 2 of them together, 3 or 4, or just 1. And it's going to be the best sale that we have on our courses for the year. So those are the different rewards we offer. If you have any questions about any of them, feel free to email us, info@nightlightastrology.com. We deeply appreciate your support, and I hope that in exchange for donating and supporting this free content year-round, that you will also find a valuable reward in one of these offerings. Remember that your donation supports a staff of people, myself, my family, the free production of all of this content year-round. We deeply, deeply appreciate your contribution. All right, hope you're having a great day. See you later. Bye.